So we have a new topic today. It's new ways for people to be retarded, and it centers around the latest craze among, I guess, a certain sector of the Jewish community who want to be considered people of color. I've said before, I am Jewish. I believe in the Jewish religion. It is what is the defining belief system for me. Maybe not in all aspects. Maybe I should know a little more about it. I'm trying to know more about it. It definitely does not involve redefining my racial status. And I come from two different sides of the Jewish ethnic mix. Okay, on the one hand, I have the Ashkenaz side, because my dad's side of the family comes from Ukraine, and the other side is the Oriental or Mizrahi Jews who come from the Middle East, in our case Baghdad. So personally, I could give a shit about this. I don't care if either side of my family is people of color. The designation of people of color is used mostly by people who have no goals and no real commitment to bettering themselves. All they want to do is drag other people down by accusing them of being persecutors or some other form of victim worship. And I'm saying worship because all they do is they talk about ways that somebody else has wronged them in their past and they have to exact retribution. The real way forward has nothing to do with bringing up problems of the past. There's nothing wrong, by the way, with talking about tragedies that your own family has gone through or that your community has gone through. That's not a problem. And if people have had issues with that, for example, going through a race riot. If somebody lived in, let's say, the Watts area in the 60s, and they were on either side of the race riot, then I have no problem with them talking about, yeah, this really did change the way that I thought about the world. That's fine. What I'm talking about are people that they look at tragedies that happened in the past, and they try to gin up their own self-worth in some way through that. And unless you've really gone through it, I don't really see why anybody should care. And it's been getting more and more popular due to, and this is from Haaretz, which is actually a shitty newspaper in Israel that's fronted by self-hating Jews. Here it says Bill Maher rips into Jared Kushner as rich privileged idiot. Well, Bill Maher is also a rich, privileged idiot. He's also half Jewish, and he doesn't even believe in it. So this is a self-hating piece of shit. He's basically passing off his own insecurity onto some person who he might not even know. I don't think he knows Jared Kushner personally on a personal level. So that's not even the headline. I just happened to look at it right now. And the real story is Israeli Wonder Woman star Gal Gadot a white person or a person of color? I'm gonna go with the who the fuck cares option, because it's a fictional character. She's being hired to play a fictional character. I haven't seen the movie, by the way. I just heard that it's pretty popular. But look at these headlines. It says, despite Wonder Woman's success, a superhero universe from comics to fandom to movies is still a man's world. This is all about, they can't give her credit for anything without talking about how much more they need to do, when in reality they don't have to do anything, and they're not going to do anything. This is the complaint department. This is the complaint department. It says, when Gal Gadot was cast as Wonder Woman in the new hit film, it was probably expected that there would be repercussions in their world. Indeed, already several countries hostile to Israel, such as Lebanon and Tunisia, have said they would refuse to screen it. It was also predictable that Gadot's service in the Israeli army and pro-Israel social media postings would be a source of controversy among those sympathetic to the Palestinian cause. What was less expected is that Godot's casting would spark an intense debate as to whether or not the Israeli model and actress, whose family roots are Eastern European, her parents changed their name from Greenstein to Godot, is white, and that white supremacists and neo-Nazis would eagerly join in the conversation. The controversy began immediately after the premiere when some cultural critics noted that while the film broke gender barriers, it still represented a native Amazonian from a remote island as being lily white, and so its representation of people of color fell short. It's a fictional fucking country. Nobody. What the fuck do you want? Okay, if they would have portrayed them as Asians, as basically Chinese, you would have called it cultural appropriation. Reports came quickly. Comicbook.com wrote a piece headlined "Wonder Woman: There is a person of color in the lead role," resting its case on discussions of anti-Semitism during the first month of the Trump presidency that European Jews should count as a non-white minority, no matter how pasty-skinned or fair-haired they may be, and saying that her casting should be celebrated as a triumph of diversity. No. Just as quickly, the idea was shot down. Godot got the role as Wonder Woman precisely because she is seen as an appropriate actor to play a character that has traditionally been white. This is from The Forward, another dumb lefty Jewish publication. In the movie itself, it's clear that the other characters perceive Wonder Woman as white. I don't think that was the main thrust of the movie. It has nothing to do. It's not like they're battling some sort of giant, hamster or something, and they're like, the other characters are like focused on the hamster, and then they take one look at Wonder Woman, and they're like, "You're pasty as you're fucking ashy, aren't you? You're basically I think what are you, Wonder Woman or Cotton Ball Woman?" That's not how these movies are. Okay? The movie is set in World War I, a time when overt racism was even more acceptable than it is today. But when Wonder Woman crashes a high-level military meeting, no one utters racial slurs or questions her whiteness. They're only scandalized because of her gender. Another forward piece called the whole discussion insidious, saying that the ambiguity of Jewish ethnicity serves as a perverse weapon in hands hostile to Jewish identity. It leaves Jews historically vulnerable to anti-Semitism from extreme ideologies on both sides of the political spectrum. Jews are at once the ultimate insiders, white, or ultimate outsiders, other, and noting that the authoritarian right, like the Nazis, attack the Jews as the ultimate outsider, blah, blah, blah. As if to illustrate the point, former KKK leader and white supremacist David Duke, welcome back, happily tweeted a photograph of a Times of Israel piece, headline, "Yes, Ashkenazi Jews, including Gal Gadot, are people of color," which he enhanced with his own headline, "Zionists say Jews and Wonder Woman are not white." And then you have all these idiots. Gal Gadot is not fucking white. Jews are not white. She has conditional... What the fuck? The neo-Nazi Daily Stormer said, Times of Israel, Jews aren't white. Wonder Woman is a person of color. And, there's another guy that I actually was chatting with him. And here's my perspective on this. The people, and I've already said this, the people who really think this is a major issue are either, they hate Jews, which is, it's totally understandable. They would have an interest either in proving that they're not white or proving, or, if there are some of those Nation of Islam people by, classifying them as white to say, oh, you're the oppressor. Stop trying to imposter yourselves as POCs, as people are now calling them, people of color. Another made-up term. People of color is the most bullshit term there is, because there's no. It basically wants to make racial identity binary. Either you're white or you're not white. Okay, that's one of the most idiotic ways to think about it. I mean, there are ways. I mean, technically it's correct. The problem is that there is no identity to being non-white. You could have endless numbers of identities. A lot of Dominicans, for example, are, they're multiracial or whatever. They don't even have a real, they've created their own culture unique to Dominican Republic, for example. So there's this misconception around the world that Jews are a racial group, and it's already been it's been basically what 72 years since the Holocaust, and people are still up in arms over what the racial identity of Jews are. I'll explain it one more time. Judaism is a religion. That's why it's an ism. And if you look at the entire tradition of the Jews, there hasn't been a consistent racial identity probably ever within the religion. It actually, there was in the Torah portion for today, I guess it would be yesterday now, they were talking about how Moses' sister Miriam criticized him for taking a Cushite woman, Cushite meaning a black woman or Ethiopian woman. So there are certain issues of what a Jew looks like, and we have no clue today, except maybe through fossil remains or whatever. I would hazard a guess that these people calling for Jews to be recognized as people of color have very little going for them in life in terms of what they want. They have few goals. They don't have much accomplishments. They don't have many accomplishments. Sorry. If your racial identity is so important to you, then it's very likely that you just don't have a real career, and that everything that is in your life is dependent on what other people do. That's what social justice warriors do, and I think that this whole issue is drawn from all this crap that's going on campuses lately. And the person that I talked to was an author of a similar article, and I was, if I might share that article too. The person that I talked to was saying, "Oh, why can't you just understand what I'm talking about? You have no idea what we're up against on the campuses." I said, "Excuse me, I do have exactly an idea of what was going on the campuses. I was on the same campuses, and I was also a soldier in the army over in Israel, and this is nothing but bullshit. Okay, it's a bunch of nonsense from a lot of insecure people that they've been trained to think that the identity of white people is bad, And I'll tell you what, the people that were the nicest that I've known in all of my travels or knowing people, and especially in college, were white Irish people. And some people claim that Irish aren't really white. You know what? When you really get down to it, none of your standards really make any sense. People are so hung up about their racial phenotype that they seem to lose sight of what's really important, which is what Dr. King said, that, I'm paraphrasing, even though it's like one of the most famous quotes in history, that he dreamt that he's had a dream that his children and white children would grow up in a country that where people would not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. So these liberal, bleeding heart Jews are basically burning the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King, who I've said before, it's not as if he's a perfect angel. They've set him up to be a martyr and this great, unimpeachable role model that can never be criticized. Dr. King had plenty of things to be criticized for, but he had a number of ideas that are timeless. That's the way all these historical figures are. We shouldn't celebrate them as perfect people. We should celebrate them for the good ideas that they had that are still with us to this day. That's why, you won't see me protesting Dr. King Day, Martin Luther King Day, even though he had a lot of associates that were communists. Okay, which is a perfectly reasonable problem that people could have with him, that somebody was running around with communists in his inner circle in the 60s. That's a reasonable reason to criticize him, but it's not a reasonable reason to condemn him to historical hell, if you want to put it that way. But the timeless idea that he came up with, that people should be judged by their actions, by their personal conduct and everything, by the content of their character, as he said, is more important than the color of their skin. And what's going on with these morons, with the Jewish people of color nonsense, is that it's not enough for them that we have as a people the most influential book in human history, the Bible. It's not necessarily to our credit. It's the defining work of our entire people. There is nothing else that ties the Jews together. If you want to put it as a racial tie, then I think you're going to be disappointed, because first of all, there is no race that you can convert into. Okay, then you would have to talk about the Catholics being a race. You would also have to talk about Islam being a race again, which is something that we've been trying to put across to people, and they won't understand that it's impossible for people to convert to a race, and identity politics is the poison that has bred this nonsensical logic, this thread of logic that people of color versus whites, this is a binary problem. No, you have to own up to the accomplishments that you've made in life, and all this nonsense over whether Wonder Woman is a white person or not. You know what? She's a corporate trademark who is a central figure in a movie that you can either buy or not buy, and that's about it. Anything beyond that is a bunch of basically fluff and nonsense. It's a bunch of grist for mill. There's no reason for anybody to care whether Wonder Woman is of one race or another. You know what? This will set the ball rolling for 5 years from now, having a reboot to the Wonder Woman franchise, which it is going to be a franchise for now. And they're going to cast somebody who's some sort of paraplegic, transgender, hamster identifying, epilepsy victim. That's going to be the new Wonder Woman. That they'll have to cast somebody like that, because nothing is good enough for their standards. They'll endlessly dissect something that has nothing to do with race or gender. I mean, it does have to do with gender because it's Wonder Woman, but it has nothing to do with their crackpot agenda. They have to inject themselves into it. It doesn't matter that this movie is massively successful and kids are loving it. They have to go out there and ruin the fun for everybody. Anyway, so this is Ramon. I'm a person of, I'm a person of volume, of sound volume. I don't even have a color. I just have sounds. Okay, I don't even have a race. I'm just like, I identify as a radio. And if you want to hear me, you can subscribe to this channel and then blindfold yourself, and then you can connect with my racial experience of being a person of sound waves and volume. Have a good night. Subscribe, click the like button, and we'll talk to you later.